Before you dive into this incredible true story about a boy, his dog, and the secret that would save lives, please like and subscribe so you don't miss more amazing stories where animals prove they're smarter than we give them credit for. Hit that notification bell and never miss an incredible moment. The call came into the 911 dispatch center on a cold Wednesday evening in December. A boy's voice, young and worried, came through the phone. He sounded maybe 11 or 12 years old. "Hi, I need help," the boy said. "My dog won't stop barking. He's been barking at the walls for like an hour and I don't know why." The dispatcher, a woman named Jennifer who'd been working 911 calls for 15 years, was about to give him routine advice about how to calm a dog down. Dogs bark. Dogs have anxiety. There wasn't usually much that required police involvement. But something in the boy's voice made her ask a different question. "Honey, is there an adult home with you right now?" There was a pause. "No," the boy said quietly. "My mom went out. She said she'd be back in like 30 minutes. That was 2 hours ago." Jennifer's instincts kicked in immediately. "Okay, sweetheart, I want you to stay on the phone with me," Jennifer said calmly. "And I want to know, besides the barking, does anything else feel wrong? Does anything seem different about your house?" The boy listened. Then he said something that would set everything in motion. "Yeah," he said. There's a weird smell. Like something burning. But not like normal burning. Like something else." Jennifer immediately dispatched police to the address. But what she didn't know, what nobody could have predicted, was that this call about a barking dog was about to uncover something that would make news across the entire state. Something that would prove that animals have senses we don't fully understand. Something that would show that a dog's instinct can be more reliable than human awareness. Something that would save lives. To understand what happened next, you need to know the story of this boy and his dog. You need to understand what brought them together. You need to understand how a dog learned to recognize danger before humans could. Marcus's story. A boy who needed a friend. The boy's name was Marcus. He was 11 years old and lived with his mother, Patricia, in a modest apartment complex in a mid-sized city. Marcus's childhood had been turbulent. His father had left when Marcus was 3 years old. His mother had worked hard to provide for him, but money was tight. They'd moved frequently, living in different apartments in different neighborhoods. Marcus had attended 4 different schools by the time he was 10. Marcus had struggled with the instability. He didn't have close friends because every time he'd start to feel connected to a school or a place, his mom would get a new job or lose an apartment and they'd move again. By the time Marcus turned 11, he'd developed anxiety. He'd spend nights lying awake worrying that his mother wouldn't come home. He'd have panic attacks at school. He'd become withdrawn and quiet. Patricia, Marcus's mother, loved her son deeply, but she was also working multiple jobs to make ends meet. She felt guilty that she couldn't give Marcus the stable home she wanted to give him. She worried constantly about his anxiety and his loneliness. One day, Patricia made a decision. She and Marcus went to an animal shelter. "I want you to pick out a dog," Patricia told Marcus. "A companion. Someone who will always be here for you, even when I'm working late." Marcus had never had a pet before. He was overwhelmed by the choice. There were dozens of dogs, puppies, adult dogs, old dogs. Some were excited and energetic. Some were calm and quiet. But Marcus was drawn to one dog in particular, a golden retriever mix about 3 years old, that had been at the shelter for 6 months. His name was Bailey. He'd been found abandoned on the streets, and nobody had adopted him. Bailey was calm. He had gentle eyes. When Marcus sat down beside his cage, Bailey rested his head on Marcus's lap. "I want this one," Marcus said. Patricia smiled. "Then he's yours." Bailey's transformation. Adopting Bailey changed Marcus's life. For the first time, Marcus had something that made him feel like he mattered. Bailey depended on him. Bailey needed him. Every morning when Marcus woke up, Bailey was there. Every afternoon when Marcus got home from school, Bailey was waiting at the door. More than that, Bailey helped Marcus's anxiety. There's scientific evidence that petting a dog lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and raises oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Bailey didn't need to know that science. He just needed to be there. Marcus would come home from a stressful day at school, and Bailey would lean against him as if saying, "I know you're scared, but I'm here. You're not alone." Bailey went everywhere with Marcus. They'd walk through the neighborhood together. They'd sit in the park. They'd watch TV together at night. Marcus had found his best friend. But there was something else about Bailey that neither Marcus nor Patricia had expected. Bailey had instincts beyond normal dog behavior. Bailey's unusual behavior. Bailey had always been a calm, quiet dog. He didn't bark at things that normally made dogs bark. Other dogs, strangers, cats, mailmen. He was almost unusually peaceful. But over the past few months, Bailey had developed a strange behavior. He would occasionally pause while they were walking or playing, and he would sniff the air. He would tilt his head, as if listening to something nobody else could hear. And sometimes, especially in the apartment building where they lived, Bailey would stand at certain walls and sniff intensely. Once he'd pawed at the wall between their apartment and the apartment next door, whining softly. Patricia had mentioned it to her friend Julia, who worked as a veterinary assistant. "That's unusual," Julia had said. "Bailey's not reacting to visible animals. His nose is incredibly sensitive. He could be smelling something that indicates a health problem, or he could be detecting a rodent or some kind of infestation, or..." Julia had trailed off. "Or what?" Patricia had asked. "Or he could be detecting something more serious," Julia had said carefully. "There have been documented cases of dogs detecting gas leaks, carbon monoxide, or other dangerous substances before humans can sense them." Patricia had nodded, but she hadn't really been concerned. The apartment seemed fine. There weren't any bad smells. Everything seemed normal. She had no way of knowing that Bailey's behavior was a warning about something that was happening right next door. The apartment next door. A hidden danger. The apartment next to Marcus and Patricia's was occupied by a man named Robert. Robert was in his 60s, lived alone, and mostly kept to himself. Nobody in the building really knew him. What nobody knew was that Robert was growing a dangerous drug in his apartment. He'd set up a hidden laboratory in a closet, using complicated equipment to manufacture methamphetamine, crystal meth. The process of making methamphetamine is incredibly dangerous. It involves toxic chemicals, high heat, and equipment that can malfunction or explode. The fumes from the chemical process are extremely toxic. They can seep through walls, under doors, through ventilation systems. Robert knew the process was dangerous, but he'd become addicted to the drug he was making. He'd been operating this hidden lab for 2 months. What he didn't know was that his lab was leaking dangerous fumes. The ventilation system he'd rigged was inadequate. The seals weren't tight. Fumes were leaking into neighboring apartments. That's what Bailey had been smelling. Bailey's nose was sensitive enough to detect the chemical fumes that Robert was producing. Bailey's instincts recognized these fumes as dangerous, even though Marcus and Patricia couldn't smell them at all. Bailey wasn't barking at walls randomly. Bailey was warning them. Bailey was trying to tell them that there was poison in the air. The 911 call ***. When Marcus called 911 that Wednesday evening, he was acting on pure instinct. Something felt wrong. His dog was upset. He needed help. Officer Derek Patterson and Officer Lisa Chun were the first to respond to the call. Derek had been a police officer for 12 years. Lisa was relatively new, only 3 years on the force, but she was sharp and observant. They arrived at the apartment complex in about 5 minutes. Marcus opened the door when they arrived. Bailey was still barking, occasionally pawing at the shared wall between the apartments. "Okay, buddy, calm down," Derek said to Marcus, trying to sound reassuring. "Sometimes dogs just get anxious. It usually passes." But Lisa was looking around. She was listening. She was smelling. And then she detected it. A faint chemical smell. Not strong. Not something most people would immediately notice. But definitely there. "Derek," Lisa said quietly, "do you smell that?" Derek paused and sniffed the air. "Yeah," he said. "There is a smell. Kind of chemical-ish." Marcus nodded. "That's what I meant. That's the weird smell. It's been getting stronger all evening." Bailey continued barking, more agitated now that there were strangers in the apartment. Lisa made a decision. "Marcus, is anyone home in the apartment next door?" Marcus shook his head. "I don't think so. I haven't heard anyone in a while. Call it in, Lisa said to Derek. We need to check next door. Tell dispatch we might have a hazmat situation. Derek called it in while Lisa talked to Marcus. We're going to check on your neighbor's apartment. You stay here with your dog. Okay. Entry into the dangerous space. Derek and Lisa approached the neighbor's apartment door. They knocked. No answer. They knocked again, louder. Still no answer. Lisa could smell the chemical odor more strongly near this apartment. Her instincts told her something dangerous was happening behind that door. We need to go in, Lisa said. This could be a medical emergency. Derek radioed dispatch to get permission for an emergency entry. Dispatch approved it based on the possible hazmat situation and the suspicious odors. Using the proper technique, Derek forced the door open. The smell hit them immediately. Strong, toxic, unmistakably dangerous. Hazmat. Lisa called out. Full gear. Both officers backed out of the apartment immediately. They could not go deeper into that apartment without proper protective equipment. The air was unsafe to breathe. They could hear sirens already approaching. Derek had called for backup, hazmat teams, and medical personnel. The discovery. When the hazmat team arrived 20 minutes later, fully suited in protective equipment, they entered the apartment. What they found was a fully operational methamphetamine laboratory, hidden in a bedroom closet. The chemicals, the equipment, the toxic fumes. Everything was exactly as Lisa had suspected. Robert, the apartment's occupant, was found unconscious in the bedroom. He'd collapsed from overexposure to the fumes he'd been creating. He was rushed to the hospital. But more importantly, the hazmat team found something else. Evidence of how bad the contamination was. The toxic fumes had seeped through the walls. They'd seeped under doors. The air quality in Marcus and Patricia's apartment, the apartment where an 11-year-old boy lived, was dangerously compromised. If Marcus had been exposed to those fumes for much longer, he could have suffered serious health damage. Long-term exposure to methamphetamine fumes can cause respiratory problems, neurological damage, and cancer. The hazmat team immediately began evacuating the building. They tested the air quality in every apartment. Several apartments showed elevated levels of dangerous chemicals. All residents in the building were evacuated to a safe distance. The realization. As Marcus was being evacuated from the building, Officer Lisa approached him. You did an incredibly brave thing tonight, Lisa said. You called for help when you noticed something was wrong. And because you did, we found something very dangerous. You might have saved lives, including your own. Marcus looked up at her, still confused about what was happening. My dog, Marcus said. Bailey. He knew. He was trying to tell me. Lisa knelt down and petted Bailey, who was no longer barking, but was staying close to Marcus, as if providing comfort. Yes, Lisa said. Your dog knew. Bailey sensed something dangerous that people couldn't. And because you listened to your dog, you got help. Officer Derek came over. The boy's instinct was good. He called for help instead of trying to handle it himself. That probably saved his life. The media attention. The story exploded in the news. Local news outlets ran the headline, Boy's dog alerts to meth lab saves lives. The story spread. It was picked up by regional news stations, then national news stations. Then it went viral on social media. What made the story so compelling wasn't just the drama of the hidden meth lab. It was the deeper message. A boy listened to his dog. A dog knew something was wrong. Together, they saved themselves and potentially saved others. News outlets interviewed Marcus. I was scared, Marcus said in one interview. But Bailey was scared too. And I knew that if Bailey was upset, something was really wrong. So I called for help. The interviewer asked, Did you know what was actually happening? No, Marcus said. I didn't know there was a drug lab. I just knew something was wrong. But I trusted Bailey. And that's what mattered. Bailey becomes famous. Bailey became a local celebrity. News outlets did stories on dogs' sense of smell and their ability to detect dangers that humans can't. They interviewed veterinarians and scientists about why Bailey was able to sense the methamphetamine fumes. Dr. Robert Martinez, a veterinary neurobiologist, explained it. Dogs have between 300 million and 1 billion smell receptors, depending on the breed. Humans have about 6 million. A dog's sense of smell is somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 times more sensitive than ours. Dogs can detect chemicals and smells that are invisible to human senses. Bailey wasn't just being anxious. Bailey was doing what dogs have done for thousands of years, warning his pack of danger. The story also highlighted something else: the importance of listening to children and animals when they indicate something is wrong. Marcus's school held an assembly about him. Teachers talked about how Marcus had done the right thing by calling for help instead of ignoring his instincts. Marcus teaches us that our instincts matter, his principal said. That when something feels wrong, we should trust that feeling and seek help. That's a lesson for all of us. The broader impact on the community. The discovery of Robert's meth lab led to more investigations in the area. Police began looking into other reports of strange smells and unusual behaviors in apartment buildings. Over the next 3 months, 2 more hidden meth labs were discovered in the same city. Neither of them had been reported because nobody had noticed the warning signs. But now people were more aware. People were paying attention to strange smells. People were listening to their pets when they acted upset. "You've made the community safer," Police Chief Howard told Marcus in a formal ceremony a week after the discovery. "You and Bailey have shown us something important. We need to trust our instincts and trust the instincts of the animals around us." Recognition and awards. Marcus was given several awards for his bravery in calling 911. The local animal shelter honored Bailey with a Bravery in Service Award, an honor usually reserved for police dogs and rescue animals. But perhaps more meaningful than the awards was what happened to Patricia, Marcus's mother. Patricia had been working 3 jobs just to keep them housed. She'd been stressed, anxious, always worried about money. She'd felt like she was failing Marcus by not being able to give him a more stable, secure life. The attention from the media brought Patricia an unexpected opportunity. A local nonprofit organization that worked with disadvantaged families heard her story and reached out. They offered Patricia a job with better hours, better pay, and better benefits. "Because of what you and Marcus did," the nonprofit director told Patricia, "we've seen that your family has real courage and resilience. We want to help. We want to make sure your family has the support you deserve." Patricia got the job. For the first time in years, she and Marcus had financial stability. They were able to move into a safer apartment in a better neighborhood. Marcus's anxiety decreased. His grades improved. All because he'd listened to his dog and called for help. Robert's story. Robert, the man who had been running the meth lab, was arrested and charged with multiple crimes. He spent months in the hospital being treated for the toxic effects of his own chemicals. During his hospital stay, he had time to think about what he'd done. He thought about how his lab had endangered not just him, but innocent people, including an 11-year-old boy and his family. After his recovery, Robert entered a drug rehabilitation program. He was eventually sentenced to prison, but with a path toward parole if he maintained his sobriety. In a statement to the court, Robert acknowledged the danger he'd created. "I was addicted," Robert said, "and addiction made me willing to hurt other people just to get my fix. That boy and his dog, they didn't do anything to deserve being exposed to those chemicals. And I'm grateful that no serious harm came to them. I take full responsibility for my actions." Robert's acknowledgement didn't fix the damage he'd done, but it showed that even in dark situations, there's the possibility of accountability and change. Looking back at what happened, there are several profound lessons embedded in this story. Lessons about instinct, about listening to children, about the bond between humans and animals, and about the importance of asking for help. Lesson 1. Your instincts are worth listening to. Marcus didn't know exactly what was wrong. He didn't have the facts or the evidence. All he had was a feeling, a sense that something wasn't right. And he listened to that feeling. In a world where we're taught to be logical and rational, we often discount our instincts. We're taught to have proof before we act. We're taught that feelings aren't reliable. But the truth is that instincts are a form of intelligence. They're based on subtle cues that our brain picks up, even if we're not consciously aware of them. Our instincts are often smarter than we give them credit for. That feeling that Marcus had, it might have been Bailey's agitation affecting Marcus. It might have been Marcus subconsciously noticing the chemical smell. It might have been something deeper. But whatever it was, it guided Marcus to make the right decision. The lesson is this: trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Take it seriously. Don't dismiss it just because you can't immediately explain it. Lesson 2: Children's observations matter. Marcus was 11 years old. In many situations, an adult might have dismissed what an 11-year-old was saying as a false alarm or overreaction. But Marcus was right. Marcus was observant. Marcus was paying attention to details: Bailey's behavior, the chemical smell, the fact that his mother hadn't come home when she said she would. If adults had listened more carefully to children, how many dangers would have been prevented? How many problems would have been caught earlier? The lesson is this: listen to children. They're not always right, but they're often more observant than we give them credit for. They notice things. They pay attention. And when they tell you something is wrong, it's worth taking seriously. Lesson 3: the bond between humans and animals is real and powerful. Bailey didn't have words. Bailey couldn't tell Marcus, "There's a methamphetamine laboratory in the apartment next door, and the fumes are dangerous to breathe." Bailey could only bark. Bailey could only pace. Bailey could only paw at the wall. But through that simple behavior, that primitive form of communication, Bailey conveyed something essential: danger. Warning. Pay attention. And Marcus understood. Marcus recognized that Bailey wasn't being anxious for no reason. Marcus recognized that Bailey was trying to tell him something important. That's the power of the human-animal bond. It's not always expressed in words, but it's real. It's deep, and it can save lives. The lesson is this: the animals in your life are smarter than you might think. They perceive things you don't. They experience the world in ways you can't. And they deserve respect and attention for what they can teach us. Lesson 4: asking for help is strength, not weakness. When Marcus called 911, he didn't try to fix the problem himself. He didn't try to investigate the apartment next door. He didn't try to be a hero. He asked for help. He reached out to trained professionals who could handle a potentially dangerous situation. That decision to ask for help instead of handling it alone might have been the most important decision Marcus made. There's a cultural message that asking for help is weakness, Officer Lisa said in an interview after the incident. But asking for help when you recognize danger is actually incredibly smart. Marcus recognized something was beyond his ability to handle, and he got professionals involved. That's exactly what we need more people to do. The lesson is this: asking for help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's maturity. It's intelligence. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is admit that you need help and reach out for it. Asterisk Lesson 5. Unexpected heroes come in unexpected forms. Asterisk. Before this incident, Marcus was just a quiet 11-year-old boy with anxiety. Bailey was just a rescue dog that nobody had wanted to adopt. Neither of them seemed like the type of hero who would prevent a tragedy and save lives. But heroes aren't always what we expect them to be. Heroes don't have to be firefighters or police officers or soldiers. Heroes can be an anxious kid who listens to his dog. Heroes can be a rescue dog who's been trained by nobody but who instinctively recognizes danger. The lesson is this: heroism isn't about being exceptional. It's about doing the right thing when it matters. It's about paying attention. It's about acting. And anyone can be a hero when the moment calls for it. Asterisk Lesson 6. Community safety requires attention and awareness. Asterisk. The meth lab had been operating for 2 months before Bailey alerted Marcus. For 2 months, it had been silently endangering the building. What if Marcus hadn't called? What if he'd ignored Bailey's behavior? What if he'd been taught not to bother adults with trivial concerns? The hidden lab might still be operating. More people might have been harmed. The poison would have continued seeping into apartments, damaging families. But because one child paid attention and asked for help, the danger was stopped. The lesson is this: community safety depends on everyone being aware and willing to report concerns. It depends on children feeling safe calling for help. It depends on authorities taking reports seriously. It depends on a culture where we watch out for each other, not in a paranoid way, but in a caring way. # the impact. What happened afterward? Asterisk 6 months later. Asterisk. Marcus was thriving. His grades had improved dramatically. His anxiety had decreased significantly. He had actual friends at school. He was talking about his future. He wanted to study animal science in college. Patricia had been promoted at her job. She and Marcus had moved into a nice apartment in a safe neighborhood. For the first time in years, Patricia didn't have to work multiple jobs. She could be present for Marcus. She could take care of herself. Bailey remained Marcus's constant companion. The two had developed an even stronger bond. Bailey was still alert, still sensitive to his environment, but he was no longer barking at walls. Because the danger was gone. The broader impact. The story of Marcus and Bailey had ripple effects far beyond their community. Police departments across the state began training officers to take reports of unusual smells seriously. Hazmat teams were put on alert for suspicious odors in residential areas. Animal welfare organizations started highlighting the story to show why adoption matters. A dog that nobody wanted had saved lives. Bailey's story became a rallying cry for adoption and for recognizing the value of rescue animals. Schools began teaching children that it's okay to speak up when something seems wrong. The message shifted from "don't bother adults" to "adults want to know if you notice something dangerous." Bailey's legacy. Bailey was recognized as a hero dog. He was featured on local news. He was given awards. A children's book was written about him. But more importantly, Bailey became a symbol of something deeper: the value of listening, the value of paying attention, the value of trusting our instincts, and ultimately, the value of that mysterious intelligence that exists between humans and animals. The ability to communicate without words. The ability to warn each other of danger. The ability to save each other's lives. Marcus's message. In an interview 3 years later, when Marcus was 14, he reflected on everything that had happened. "A lot of people talk about me like I'm a hero," Marcus said. "But I didn't do anything special. I just listened to my dog. I paid attention when something felt wrong. I called for help." He paused. "I think the real lesson is that we all have that ability. We all can listen to our instincts. We all can pay attention. We all can ask for help when we need it. And if we all did that, if we all listened and paid attention and helped each other, think about how many people we could save." Marcus looked directly at the camera. "That's what Bailey taught me. That's what this whole experience taught me. That paying attention matters. That asking for help matters. And that even a kid and a dog can make a huge difference if we just listen to each other." The 5 core truths about instinct and connection. Truth 1. Instincts aren't random feelings. They're based on real information that our brains are processing, even if we're not consciously aware of it. Truth 2. Animals perceive the world differently than humans. Their senses are designed to detect things we can't. That makes them valuable partners in safety and security. Truth 3. Communication doesn't always require words. A dog barking at a wall is communicating. A child reporting a strange smell is communicating. We need to listen to these forms of communication. Truth 4. Children are capable observers and their concerns should be taken seriously, not dismissed. Truth 5. The smallest actions. A phone call, paying attention to a pet, being willing to seem like you're overreacting, can have enormous positive consequences. What this story really means. At its core, this story is about connection. It's about the bond between a boy and a dog. It's about the connection between instinct and action. It's about the connection between individuals and community. For years, Marcus had felt isolated. His frequent moves had left him without close friendships. His anxiety had made him feel separate from his peers. He'd felt alone. But Bailey gave him connection. Bailey gave him someone who was always there. Someone who understood him without words. Someone who protected him. And in turn, Marcus listened to Bailey. Marcus paid attention to what Bailey was trying to communicate. Marcus acted on that connection by calling for help. That connection, between Marcus and Bailey, saved lives. It saved Marcus and Patricia's lives. It protected the other families in the building. It stopped a dangerous operation from continuing. All because one boy and one dog paid attention to each other. A message about listening. In a world full of noise and distraction, it's easy to ignore the subtle signals. It's easy to dismiss our instincts. It's easy to not pay attention. But this story asks us to pay attention, to listen, to our dogs, to our children, to our instincts, to each other. Because you never know when paying attention might save a life. You never know when listening to someone, or something, might prevent a tragedy. You never know when a simple act of attention might change everything. Marcus didn't have to call 911 that night. He could have ignored Bailey's barking. He could have assumed everything was fine. But he didn't. He paid attention. He listened. He acted. And everything changed. For him. For his mother. For his community. And for Bailey, a rescue dog who proved that sometimes, the most important job we can have is simply paying attention and alerting our loved ones to danger. The power of doing the right thing. This story also teaches us something about the power of doing the right thing, even when it's small. Even when it seems like it might not matter. Marcus didn't know that his call would lead to the discovery of a meth lab. He didn't know it would make headlines. He didn't know it would change his life and his mother's life and the lives of his community. He just knew something was wrong. He just knew he should call for help. And that simple decision, that small action, had enormous consequences. That's what we need to remember. Sometimes, the biggest differences are made by small choices. By paying attention. By being willing to say something when something feels wrong. By being willing to ask for help. Marcus did all of those things. And the world is better because he did. If Marcus and Bailey's story reminded you about the importance of listening, to your instincts, to the children in your life, to your pets, please like and subscribe for more stories that will inspire you and restore your faith in the power of connection and courage. Hit that notification bell so you never miss these incredible moments that remind us what humans and animals can accomplish together. In the comments below, tell us, have you ever had an experience where an animal helped you or protected you? What did you learn from it? And what do you think Marcus and Bailey's story teaches us about paying attention? See you in the next video where we explore more incredible stories of heroism and connection. *.